Ravens fans, Rams fans, maybe even Cowboys fans are probably in the same boat right now, all checking social media pretty much every hour, probably even more often than that, to see if Bobby Wagner has signed with their team or to get the bad news that Bobby Wagner has signed with someone else. I was trying to get this video done Monday evening prior to Bobby Wagner signing with someone. But in any case, this is a film study on Bobby Wagner. I've got footage from 3 games. Tennessee game where he had 20 tackles, I believe, which was week 2. Texans game from later on in the season, used limited film from that, and then a really exciting competitive game against the Steelers in a night game situation. This is going to be a long video, to be honest with you, probably a 30-minute film study on him. I'm going to break it up into concepts generally by game. So we'll look at the Titans game first, then the Steelers game, and with some Texans plays sprinkled in near the end. So let's check it out. First, it's going to be a stretch concept. Bobby Wagner is playing Mike Backer, and it's going to be a stretch to his right. The offense is left. One thing to note about Seattle's defense is Bobby Wagner always had linemen in his face. I don't know how he made 170 tackles last year. I mean, I do. I've seen the stats. But he constantly had linemen in his face, like this guy right here, who's able to get to him. Bobby Wagner does what, in some cases, you're not supposed to do. He goes underneath the block, still gets involved in the play. It's a spectacular play, if you ask me. Really savvy, agile, quick. Is he the fastest linebacker in the world? Well, no. But he's agile. He's got quick feet. He understands angles. He understands where he's supposed to be. Extremely smart guy. Clearly headed for the Hall of Fame. Same play, end zone angle. And you're going to see a lineman climbs up to him. It's the center. And he just dodges him deftly. Guy hardly even touches him. And runs underneath of the backside nose tackle, who's in the backside A, kind of, and then he's able to make the tackle. Beautiful play. I love that play. Just kind of shows you what he can do that's maybe off scheme. That's not the way you draw it up on paper if you're the defensive coordinator. All right, another stretch concept against the Titans again. This time a play action. My apologies, and you'll see I use these first 2 plays in combination together because they happen consecutively in the game. So the very next play after the stretch concept, they're giving him the same look, and Wagner's already identified that it's play action. He's got 2 routes down here, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, and he's going to be in the window of both of them. He's in the window of both of them. He's playing a complementary role in terms of their zone coverage here, helping out with the DBs who have the primary coverage and are responsible for deep. He's just got to be in the window here, and he is. And of course, that's part of the issue why they are able to get a sack there, a strip sack, and a turnover by against Ryan Tannehill. Downhill run play where he gets a tackle. This is what he can do when he's unblocked, when he doesn't have a lineman in his face. Titans bringing a blitz off the edge, kind of inconsequential in terms of the blocking scheme. But you can see Wagner's unblocked here, untouched. So he's able to fit perfectly where the running back is, 1 yard gain. These are few and far between in terms of their scheme. I do not think Seattle had great edge play last year, and I don't think that this particular look was great for them. This kind of bare front, a 3, a 0, and in some cases a 3. That's actually not a 3. It almost looks like a tight front in some ways. Wagner's playing as the Mike, set to the weak side, unblocked, meets the running back squared up, shoulder to shoulder, in the hole. Great play. He'd fit perfectly in any defense, to be honest with you, in terms of his intuitiveness and knowing where to fit against the run. This is a stunt that they ran often, and I think Bobby Wagner calls this. I think that their linebackers had the freedom to call it at any time. So what the stunt is, and typically he would do this if their quarterback is in shotgun here and the back is on the same side as Bobby Wagner. And you'll see it later on in this video against the Steelers. But they're running this stunt where the D tackle who's lined up in B, he's in a 3 technique, he's going to slam A gap, and then Wagner's going to loop around and go through the B gap that was initially occupied by that defensive tackle. Now, Wagner doesn't make the play here, but the defensive tackle does, and that's kind of the point. There comes a time where you have to be able to recognize what to call, when to call certain things, and let's imagine for a moment that they ran the same concept here to this side, Bobby Wagner's going to potentially run right into the play. It's a GLISO concept over here on the right-hand side. And Derrick Henry can't get there because the D tackle stunting into the A gap beats his man. All right, some pass concepts against the Titans. You're going to get 3 vertical or 2 vertical, and 3 is trying to come under here. Bobby Wagner is playing zone. It's a third down situation. You can see the line to go is right here. And he's always going to stay square. He's always going to stay on top of routes. Only one time in this video and only twice over these 3 games that I watched did I see someone like kind of get behind him where he didn't have awareness of where they were. Very aware football player, if you ask me. Much better in pass coverage than the other inside linebackers that played for Seattle last year. Thought those guys were really lacking in terms of awareness and really inconsistent in terms of their depth. Not Bobby Wagner. You can see him up in a corner here. He's got a receiver who ran by him, the number 2 receiver, 3 checks up. And his timing is perfect. His timing is impeccable on when he hits people in front of him in zone. I don't think he's a man-to-man defender often. I'm not saying he's poor at it. I think he's much better in zone coverage. If you're a Ravens fan, how does that fit with Mike McDonald's scheme? I think it does. I think he's going to play a lot of man-to-man. But if you were to luck out and draft Ahmad Gardner, then now you're looking at a guy who can play a ton of man. So who knows? Pass situation down here in the goal line, he's going to blitz and get the sack. Good timing on his blitz. You can see him creeping a little bit right as the ball is snapped, but he didn't give it away. So it's not like the O-line was able to make an adjustment. When we get the end zone angle, you'll see it's the same exact stunt that I just drew up a moment ago. It's the same exact stunt. The 3 technique is slamming A-gap, and Wagner's looping through the B-gap. You've got a wide edge defender here who is presumably going to be occupied by this offensive tackle. Free rusher, easy play. Same game against the Titans. Another blitz by Wagner. Again, you can see him lean just for a moment. You can see him lean just for an instant there into it. He's not giving it away. This is a completion over to the right-hand side, the wide side of the field. Wagner momentarily put his hands up because he wasn't sure if he was going to get there. Maybe that slight hesitation puts him a half a step late. But in any case, he gets a quarterback hit on a 2nd and 10, and they hold him to a 6 or 7 yard gain. Good timing on his blitzes. I don't think he was used as a blitzer a ton. Here he is, lined up to the wide side of the field. I don't think he was used as a blitz, and it's the same stunt that I've pointed out to you twice, by the way. 3 technique D-tackle going A-gap, Wagner looping around. They ran it a ton, just in those 3 games that I've watched, like I said. A split zone concept against Houston. There's Wagner playing Mike. You can see it's a bunch set here to the defense's right. And he gets guys in his face immediately. Wagner has 2 guys, the right tackle and the X, in his face immediately. There is almost no way that he can impact this play at all. Somehow he does dodge those 2 guys. Really high level awareness. Somehow he does dodge them. And then still get in and get his hand on the running back. Now, the running back's still going to get a decent gain out of this. But you'll get the end zone angle too. Bobby Wagner is someone who doesn't give up on the play. You can see he's very physical and very strong. There's the 2 guys, the right tackle and number 18, the X, that are going to get up to him immediately. I guess technically it's a Z. Wagner's just swimming off of this guy, or swiping off, and getting involved in the play. He's a special football player, high-level football player. I did a video yesterday showing, asking the question, do the Ravens need Bobby Wagner, and showing mostly Josh Bynes' film. Obviously, this guy plays at a higher level than Josh Bynes. It would be interesting to see those 2 play alongside each other, but you want a little bit more athleticism on your third down situations than 2 guys that are generally really good in zone. How he would fit with a Patrick Queen, I'm not sure in those zone situations, because Queen's pass coverage is a deficiency, whether it's man or zone. He's got identified weaknesses in man and zone. All right, a play action concept where you got to over route. This is Julio Jones, and it is a completion to Julio Jones. But watch the coverage. Watch the awareness that Wagner has. He recognizes that it's play action. Turns. He's already turning and looking. Right now, he knows he's got to get underneath of this over route. Now, I contend that he's moving too far this way. And I talked about this in a video yesterday about how to defend it. I taught my guys to go a little bit more flat and be underneath of it because that's less distance you have to run from here to presumably wherever the ball would cross your path. The further you're running this way upfield, which of course is to where the receiver is running, I would always teach my guys you didn't have to be on the hip. You just had to be in the path for wherever the quarterback throws the ball. But I guess different people got different teaching points. But in any case, it's a great job by Bobby Wagner. Julio Jones just beats him to the spot. Sometimes the offense does a great job. It's a cool concept. It's a timeless concept. The stretch play and the boot off of it. Julio Jones is off screen here to our right. The defense is right. Wagner's going to step with the back and all the linemen moving. Recognizes it quickly. Look how quick he is moving his feet, stopping his feet, and changing direction versus 56. Now, it's only slight, maybe, but you can see that there's a difference in how quickly he identifies it and turns and looks. Now, he's looking back at Jones. He's trying to get underneath of it. I contend he's running too far downfield, chasing him, instead of just chasing the hip. All right, a bunch of zone coverage plays here against scattered teams. This is against Houston. One of the few times where I saw Wagner be in the window initially and then end up in the, quote, wrong spot. But look, this guy right here can adjust. He's got Wagner's back to him. Wagner clearly doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. That guy just pulls his route back a little bit towards the field side, and Wagner's not able to adjust. Wagner's trying to read the quarterback, and, it's a two-way go. The receiver has a two-way go. There's Wagner. He reads pass extremely quickly. He's on the inside of this receiver in the window, but the receiver's got a two-way go here. We know he ends up throwing it to this side. Wagner doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. I contend that he played that well, even if it's technically considered a pass reception in his area. Second down play, a second down and 6. They've just completed or maybe a second and 4. They've just completed a short pass to Derrick Henry where Wagner was able to make the tackle one-on-one. One of the few times where I feel like he's overcommitted by a step or a step and a half. In terms of being overcommitted towards the sideline, widening up a little bit too much. One thing to note here is this is another inside linebacker. Look at the difference in depth between these two guys. And it's not like this is a different formation from one side to the other. You got 2 receivers to the right, 2 receivers to the offensive left. Different depth here, and you get a short completion to the running back for a first down. Now, Wagner makes the tackle, but somebody between those two guys, in my opinion, between Wagner and this guy here, somebody is, quote, wrong because they're at such vastly different depths here. Look at the different depths. I mean, that's almost 7 yards depth difference between them. Usually for these short routes underneath, you want to try to hammer the guy from both sides. You want to give him 2 inside linebackers to think about in terms of hash protectors, guys that are in the middle of the field typically. Another look at a pass drop here by Wagner. Actually ends up being a screen play by the Texans. But you see how aware he is in his drops. He's dropping on 3 right now. 3 meaning technically this is number 3, but he's going out. 2 essentially becomes 3 right here. So if you're not sure what I mean, this is 1, 2, 3. 3 goes out. 2 comes in. So he's not going to chase 3. He's just going to drop on the new 3, which was the original 2. He gets outside and level. He's very good at leveling off. You can tell he's done it millions of times in terms of his pass drops. He levels off. And one thing I like is he is very good at being able to spy out here. I call it, sneak a peek, ping pong eyes, whatever you want to call it. He's very good at being able to look out there and then get his eyes back in towards the quarterback. Screen is already thrown here. He identifies it. It is a good gain, don't get me wrong, but Bobby Wagner's fundamentally sound, will be involved with football plays on both sides of the midline. What I mean by midline is This is the midline. That's where the ball lines up. That's where the ball is when the offense lined up. He'll be involved in plays, run or pass, on either side of the field. Tremendous awareness. Sometimes you got receivers that run by him and he doesn't touch them. He barely touches that guy, just kind of swipes him. There's some times where he's very physical with receivers, though, and you love to see that at inside linebacker. You like to see him collision people that are running across your face or running into your zone. A wind back play, they had trouble to the weak side, they being Seattle, when they lined up with a 3, a 0 technique nose, and then, a 4-eye over here to the strong side. They had trouble. This is a wind back play by Derrick Henry, and you can see Wagner gets caught up over here to the strong side. Henry's going to bring this thing back to the weak side. I contend that their D-line struggled this year. You got what should be a B-gap defender in a 3 technique. Watch him get cut off by this right tackle. Essentially a scoop block on the backside. He's slow out of his stance. I mean, slow. He's got his first foot in the ground now. And this guy's working on his second foot now. Second step. Beat. I just don't like some of the edge play that I see and some of the D tackles for Seattle, to be honest with you. I feel like Bobby Wagner was kind of wasted last year. 170 tackles obviously speaks well about him. I just saw a lot of things that looked poor. This is another example. This is going to be the backside edge defender. Everybody else is going to bottle this thing up. Kind of similar stunt. It looks like Wagner going backside A. It doesn't work. They pick it up. Look, they've got it bottled up. Front side has built a wall that Derrick Henry can't get through. These 3 guys are closing in. And then the edge defender needs to close the back door. He needs to close the back door. And he does not. He chases. Here. And Derrick Henry cuts it back. There's nobody. If he closes the back door here, parallel to the line of scrimmage, he runs right into Derrick Henry. So one of the best drills I've ever seen for edge defenders on runaway has them on every snap, on every pursuit drill snap, tackling someone when they have to close the back door on them. Touchdown run by Derrick Henry, I think. All right, some run fits against the Steelers. They did some interesting stuff against the Steelers. Bobby Wagner was lined up to the side of the running back often. They did RPO him twice. He was playing man on Najee Harris often in these situations. So when Harris went across the quarterback's face, Bobby Wagner often crossed his face quickly as well. You can see he's unblocked in this situation, gets involved in a tackle along with one of the defensive linemen, the edge player number 10. Side of the back again. Looks like to me trips to one side. Steelers are in 11 personnel. The only thing that I have an issue with some of these things, he's recognizing it and coming downhill, but the only thing I do not like in some cases is, to me, it looks like the line of scrimmage is the 41. And I would just think that he would be taking on this block, closer to the line of scrimmage than he is. His feet are on the, let's call it the 38 and a half, maybe 39. I just feel like he could be a little bit quicker downhill on this. But there's a lot of situations where he's worried about the running back having a two-way go, meaning once he commits to a back, this tight end's going to pull and block. By the way, that's drawn up a little too far. He's going to pull and block Wagner here. I feel like he's worried a lot about a two-way go, and instead of closing this thing down as quickly as possible and hammering the tight end right now, I feel like there's just too much space here, and he's got a lot of film that shows better reps than that. So I'm not saying that that's a pattern. All right, another end zone angle. He's got the tight end in the back on his side again, so he could be looking at that same concept where the tight end pulls, or he could be looking at an RPO concept. In this case, he ends up with a lineman. I think it's the right tackle. Smacks him in the face. He has no chance to get involved with this play at all. The right tackle is doing this little fake to the outside and then stepping down to the inside and smacking Bobby Wagner in the mouth. They wrong arm it with the DN. This DN here wrong arms it. So what's happening there is he's trying to make it spill outside to presumably a strong safety or a folding will linebacker in this case. I just didn't think Seattle had great schemes, to be honest with you. Felt like Bobby Wagner was wasted. A couple of examples of D-line edge players not necessarily doing their job. They're in the same front here. They have a 3, and then a nose, a 0 nose, a wide defensive end. It's very similar to I think the third play I showed you against Tennessee. You got 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on one side. This run play is going to hit back to the weak side. They had a lot of trouble back to the weak side. The nose gets reached here by the guard. There's just vertical push and horizontal push on the nose, I should say, by the right guard and the center. Bobby Wagner's stuck on the wrong side. He's playing this on the wrong side, but he's there by alignment. I would offer to you that this is poor alignment, that we should be lined up here, or maybe in a 10, maybe inside shade of that guard. I don't think Bobby Wagner's issues last year were Bobby Wagner's problems. I think it was scheme by Seattle's defense and some of their tactical decisions. On the same side of the back, and you're going to get the guard pull, so he's going to step with the guard. Najee Harris is going to cross face. He's always got people being pushed into him, too. Look at this D tackle here, 94. He's just getting collapsed down this way by the combo block. And they got a great angle on him. Don't get me wrong. They had a tackle come down on him and a guard take him on. And Wagner has no opportunity himself to be involved in this play. Now, other guys are making the play. I believe this edge player wrong arms it. I believe. So it's a nice job by him. Yeah, he wrong arms it. You saw him rip with the inside arm. Gets involved in the play. So great for their defense. But we're talking about Bobby Wagner in this video. I don't know how he made 170 tackles when stuff like this happened as often as it did. Him having guys in his face immediately, or in this case a D tackle, just basically getting collapsed into his lap. I really don't know how you make 170 tackles, when those things happen consistently. Same situation. He's on the side of the tight end and the running back. Give to the back. Look at this. This tackle gets up to him so quickly. Wagner has no chance to get involved in this at all. Now, conversely, this other inside backer, 56, is totally unblocked. He does get involved in the play. Wagner's essentially walled off here. Looked like they were trying to run the same stunt that they've ran before with his edge defender slamming inside. He just doesn't get there. He gets cut off by the tight end and then just taken down. I don't know what Seattle's points per game allowed was. I don't know where they stood run defense-wise. I don't look at those things. If you want to comment on those things, go ahead and comment on it. Just telling you what I saw. It looked like the Steelers put them through 11 personnel hell for parts of the game, and it looked like Tennessee ran the ball on them. Great. I mean, there was the one long touchdown run that I didn't show you by Derrick Henry. It was like a 60-yard touchdown run. Some pass drops to finish this video up before I let you guys make some conclusions of your own. I do like that he's physical with receivers. Chase Claypool's the number 3 receiver. Going to run like this little seam slant. And Wagner's trying to just mug him up. Ball's already out of there to the tight end on an out. But Wagner is just constantly aware of receivers. And I like how he's being physical with the guy. The receivers will remember that the next time they're told to run through his zone. Here he is again, 11 personnel. You got trips to this side, 3 receivers. And you're going to get 3 vertical, which is the tight end, and then 2 is going to run this under. There are some times where I'd like to see him knock the crap out of number 3 right now, but this is bait. If he goes with number 3 heavy, then 2 is going to be open. I think that's McLeod on this little under route. Now, they don't throw it there, but we're talking about Bobby Wagner in this video. He's very patient, very patient. And I don't think he can be bothered by too much bait often. And maybe that's why I don't see many examples of it on film. Classy veteran. Seen a lot. I venture to say there's the same concept, 3 vertical. I venture to say with him on the field, 3 vertical, Wagner's going to get hands on him, and then the Z is going to run the under. Now, that's not where they go with the football. You see he's mugging the tight end here. I think it's the tight end. I'd venture to say that with Wagner on the team, the Ravens will make adjustments a lot faster. Almost reminiscent of the way that the Ravens used to play defensive football before Wink Martindale took over. I'm not taking a shot at Wink Martindale, but we didn't adjust to people. We tried to make people adjust to us, and that didn't always work. Man-to-man here against Najee Harris. Nice job. He was also man-to-man against Derrick Henry in one play that I did not show you. Nice job on a 2nd and 12 situation. Finishing this thing up, they're asking him to get the curl now. So instead of just the hook being near the hash, they're asking him to get out further to the high curl. And you can see he understands some things in terms of route combinations. He's right on this receiver's top side hip. And then, clearly the tight end Ebron is open up in the flats. That's not where they go with the football. You guys let me know what you think. What I think I see is a guy who can still play at a really, really high level. If there was any one criticism, and man, who the hell am I to criticize Bobby Wagner? If there was any small, slight thing based on the 3 games I watched, which is a small sample size, admittedly, if there was any one thing for me to mention, it would be sometimes taking on those lead blocks. He's taken on the lead block 2 yards downfield, 2.5 yards downfield, meaning on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage rather than at the line of scrimmage. And that's not always realistic, to be honest with you. You say that to your inside linebackers, but that's not always realistic, especially with the poor play by some of the guys along the defensive line for Seattle, whereby Bobby Wagner mid-play, I'm sure, is worried about the two-way go by the running back. So, in summary, salary-wise, if it fits, Ravens going to make it work. Guy can obviously play, would be a significant upgrade. Where does he fit in the league? Top 5, top 10, top 15. I don't get into those things, man. I just look at the individual technique, and I have to draw one conclusion from it, though. Seattle played a lot of zone, and I would have to think that if the Ravens are bringing him over here, that they're committing to playing a lot of zone. So there's probably some further film studies to do off of that. I've done 2 Twitter film studies on Mike McDonald's defenses. I probably now need to go back and chart, man versus zone coverage. Of course, we know that Michigan had a very talented defense, especially their edge players and Daxton Hill. So that could influence, and I'm sure probably did influence Mike McDonald in terms of the coverages that he played. But the Ravens were so heavily, if Wink Martindale was our DC right now, we're not picking up Bobby Wagner. We're not, because of the amount of man that he wanted to play. Mike McDonald, it seems to me, we might have a clue, and a really heavy clue, what Mike McDonald's going to play if Bobby Wagner actually does sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know what you guys think of this film study breakdown and what you think of Bobby Wagner's play that I showed you against the Titans, Steelers, and the Texans.